guys hear me? No, I've had some very strange encounters in my life. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them. I was on a plane once, and this lady, she sits down next to me, kind of a lumberjill vibe, a nice person. We start talking, she tells me she's going to a conference. Like, what sort of conference? Well, we make little things. Like, what sort of little things? You mean like doll houses or something? Well, we don't call them doll houses, we call them miniatures. So I said, miniatures, you mean like doll houses with like little people in them and maybe like horses? And she says, oh yeah, we have horses. It's a conference and I make the silverware and the dishes. That's it? You make silverware and dishes, like tiny silverware and tiny, that's it? That's all I make. I said, wow, and it's a conference and there's people there and they like make little horses? Yeah, little horses. What other kinds of things do these people make? Like firehouses or hospitals? Yeah, we have hospitals. Yeah, we have hospitals with patients and beds and gurneys. And I said, wow, it's all kinds of crazy. I'm like a parallel universe. Like all these a whole different universe with like tiny people and tiny things. I said, do you guys make like whorehouses or anything like that? And like, oh yeah, I mean that's kind of like a back room type of thing, but that's where the money is, okay? I mean, there's no real point to these stories, okay? It's just like bizarre encounters that I've had. I said, like, what do these people do? He says, well, we have leather people that make leather whips, and we have quarter size and 8th size, 16th size. We have doll houses inside of doll houses. There's no real ending point to this story, okay? Okay, so another strange encounter that I had was walking down the street over on Don Gaspar. Have you seen that little rock shop near the plaza that has this big elephant god? You know what I'm talking about, the big elephant god? Yeah. For some reason I see this strange, I see something that looks sort of normal to other people, but I kind of zoom in on the odd thing, So I'm going in there, and there's all these rocks and minerals, amethyst that's like this high, And there's a guy there, and he's telling me all kinds of stories about his travels around the world and how he's collected these things. He went to the Seychelles Islands and all kinds of things like that. The most interesting man in the world, thank you. So, among other things, I see sort of a round spherical object that had sort of a little crease in it, and I'm like, what is this thing? And he says, it's a nut. And I said, that's like a really big nut. And he says, it's the largest nut in the world. And I said, you have the largest nut in the world? And he says, yeah, I collect them. I go to the Seychelles Islands, and they have these nuts. It's called the coca la mer, the coca la mer. Who knew, right? And I'm touching the nut. I'm a nut toucher. I'm touching the nut. There's kind of a crease down the nut, He has a daughter. She's kind of in the front, sort of putting away the T-shirts, kind of folding things and stuff like that. So I'm touching this nut, and what do people do with this nut? And he says, well, you can drink the milk of the nut, and there's a kind of a meat, nut meat, right? There's like nut suckers. They're sucking on the juice of the nut. Yeah. But you're not really allowed to do that in the Seychelles Islands because it's sort of like a national thing. You're not really allowed to touch the nut over there in the Seychelles Islands. You can, but they can't. He says, you know, these nuts, they fall into the sea and they go all the way to India. These nuts, the coca lemire, they go all the way to India. So I'm touching this nut, I'm feeling the crease, and I'm saying, you know, this nut, it has kind of a sexy shape. It feels, I can't quite put my finger on it. Right. He says, the nut is shaped like a woman's vagina. And I'm like, I said, what do these people in India do? He says, they worship the nut. They don't touch the nut. There's no point to these stories, okay? I can't predict when people are going to laugh. You know? That's it for me today.